Cell membrane structure. Cell membranes are selectively some things through, but not everything, and they're made of a phospholipid bilayer, which has proteins and carbohydrates. That's the basic outline of what we're going to talk. The cell membrane keeps all of the pieces inside the cell. If you think about a membrane, imagine like a big plastic bag with some tiny holes. That bag holds all of the cell pieces and fluids inside the cell and keeps any nasty things outside the cell. The holes are there to let some things move in and out of the cell. If you think of a Ziploc bag with some little tiny holes in it, the cell membrane is not one solid piece. Everything in life is made of smaller pieces, and a membrane is no different. Compounds called proteins and phospholipids make up most of the cell membrane. The phospholipids make the basic bag, and the proteins are found around the holes and help move molecules in and out of the cell. Okay, the cell membrane protects the cell. You can see it runs on the outside edge of the cell. Homeostasis, which is very important in living things. One of the hallmarks of all living things is their ability to maintain homeostasis, or constant conditions inside the body despite changing environmental conditions. So no matter if it's 20 degrees below zero or 120 degrees above, your body has to stay the same inside. And so that's homeostasis. The key to this ability in living organisms is the cell membrane. The cell membrane has the physical and chemical properties that allow it to closely regulate which materials are allowed to enter and exit a cell. The cell membrane also has the ability to maintain environmental conditions such as pH, the acid-base balance, within the cell despite changes in the surrounding environment. Okay, cells and organelles help perform homeostasis. Homeostasis is the process of any living thing that allows it to live and regulate its internal environment so as to maintain a stable, constant condition. For example, you get hot and you sweat. If you look here, the input, feedback goes in, the system, it tells the sensors, gives feedback, goes back in and does any changes. It's just a loop that your body goes through automatically without you even thinking about. You get hot, you sweat. You get cold, you shiver, because shivering helps to heat up the system. Phospholipids. Sounds like difficult things, aren't they? Well, cell membranes are composed largely of phospholipids. All they are molecules made of a fatty acid chain topped with a structure called a phosphate group. Lipid, remember anywhere you see lipid, it's going to be a fat or a fatty acid. And phospho is phosphate. But lipid is the key word here that you always remember when you see lipid, that it's going to talk about some kind of fat. The chemical arrangement produces a charged hydrophilic region at the phosphate head and a non-charged hydrophobic region along the tail. Hydro, when you see hydro, it talks about water. Philic means it's going to attract water. Hydrophobic pushes it away. Like phobia, you've heard of phobias. Hydro, water, phobia, pushes water away or doesn't like water. These important chemical properties of phospholipids cause them to arrange in a bilayer. And bi means two, like bicycle, bilayer. This arrangement permits both surfaces of a cell membrane to interact with water and other charged or polar molecules. Cell membrane structure. It's a flexible fluid structure, and like we said about the Ziploc bag, if it's filled with water or something, it moves, it changes shape. A balloon is the same way. It's a fluid structure or flexible fluid structure. They're constantly changing and need to remain flexible to function properly. Its molecules are not fixed in place and can move past one another horizontally, making it selectively permeable or semi-permeable, allowing some but not all materials to pass through it. So when they talk horizontal, it's across, and it's like there are two layers across, and one is going, they can open and leave little holes, or they can close and not allow those holes. I hope that makes sense. Like if you put both hands one on top of the other, you can close and there's no space to let anything out, but if you pull your hands apart and leave a gap, something will go through. All cell membranes contain proteins, and that's what's meant by permeable. Selectively permeable means it lets some things through. Semi-permeable, same way, some things, not everything goes through. All cell membranes contain proteins. Transport proteins in the cell membrane help shuttle materials such as nutrients and ions into and out of the cells. So there's certain proteins there that help things to keep going. The cell membrane also contains carbohydrates at its outer surface. These carbohydrates play important roles in helping cells recognize and distinguish themselves from one another. Carbohydrates on the surface of cell membranes are often bound to lipids or fats or proteins. These structures are called glycolipids and glycoproteins, respectively. So the glyco is the carbohydrate protein, or carbohydrate fat. The cytoskeleton provides support inside the cell membrane. The interior of the cell is supported by a network of protein fibers called a cytoskeleton. The cytoskeleton is made up of several different types of structures: microtubules, which are like little tubes, actin microfilaments, and intermediate filaments. These structures support a cell's shape, provide anchor points for organelles, help the cell move, play a role in directing the movement of the materials during cell division. So the cytoskeleton is real important. The cell wall. The cell of some organisms, including plants, fungi, bacteria, and algae, produce a rigid structure called a cell wall, which surrounds the cell membrane. The plant cell wall is made of carbohydrates, including cellulose, and a variety of proteins. These materials give strength and support to plants as they grow. Cell walls play a similar role in other organisms, although they may be composed of entirely different materials, but it helps to give it shape and structure. Cell wall, and you can see it's the rigid edge is going to give it shape and give it some protection. Okay, and there are other membranes in the cell that we're briefly going to talk about. We talk about more detail in other deals, but the mitochondrion, the endoplasmic reticulum, the Golgi body, and the nuclear membrane. Endoplasmic reticulum is the highway. It transports materials from one place to the other, and the ribosomes are attached to the endoplasmic reticulum. They can also be loose, but they're mostly on the endoplasmic reticulum. The Golgi bodies, it's the post office that sends and receives materials. It's where information comes in and goes out. The mitochondria is the powerhouse. It gives the energy. It's big, strong. And that's the end of this. I hope you've got a better understanding now and thank you.